The world as we know it once belonged to them. They walked the same lands as us, drank the same water, and breathed the same air. It was the age of gigantic reptiles. But one day, a day that none of us can imagine, marked the end of their absolute rule. One of the most dramatic moments in Earth's history. This is the chronicle of their final chapter. The last day of the dinosaurs. Part 1. The calm before the storm. 66 million years ago, the planet was warmer and more vibrant than it is today. In the region now known as North America, a fertile plain stretched, bordered by mountain ranges. This was the domain of the Sauroposeidon, one of the tallest creatures ever to walk the earth, its neck rising like a crane to a height of 57 feet. But even these colossi were not safe. From the high-flying perspective of a Quetzalcoatlus, they might have seen a nest of tiny predators that would, decades later, grow into fearsome tyrannosaurs. Their father, a Tyrannosaurus rex, was nearby. His keen sense of smell, capable of detecting prey from miles away, now told him that something was wrong. A Quetzalcoatlus, the largest of the flying pterosaurs with a wingspan of up to 36 feet, circled overhead. Its immense metabolism demanded a constant supply of food, and the tiny hatchling would have been an easy meal. However, its massive wings, perfect for long-distance gliding, made taking off from the ground a challenge. This time, it managed to avoid a conflict. Life on Earth continued as if nothing was amiss. Herds of triceratops grazed peacefully in the meadows. These powerful herbivores, weighing up to 6 tons, could hold their own, but they had no idea that their true enemy was flying in from the depths of space. Part 2. The Cosmic Visitor. 200 million miles from Earth, between Mars and Jupiter, lies the asteroid belt. Billions of cosmic objects traveled in their orbits, but one, the size of a mountain, collided with another. The impact broke off a gigantic fragment, 10 kilometers in diameter, which changed its trajectory and headed toward the Sun, and then toward the third planet from it. This was no ordinary rock. It was a carrier of ancient elements, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, the very building blocks of life that already existed on Earth. But what once gave life was now threatening to take it away. On the other side of the world, in Mongolia, a family of Corythosaurus, large, crested herbivores weighing up to 4 tons, fed calmly at a watering hole. Their young were vulnerable, and a predator, the Sauronithoides, watched them. This clever and agile dinosaur was too small to fight an adult Corythosaurus, but hunted with cunning, using speed and dexterity. None of them suspected that forces, immeasurable by their power or intelligence, were already approaching the planet. Part 3. The Day of Reckoning. After 100 million years of wandering through space, the cosmic chunk of ice and rock was on its final approach. 2 trillion tons of matter hurtled toward Earth at a speed of 60,000 kilometers per hour. The planet's gravity accelerated it, turning it into a fireball that crossed the atmosphere in 4 minutes. It flew in at a shallow angle, which meant most of its destructive energy would be directed north of the impact point. In seconds, the air around the asteroid turned into superheated plasma with a temperature of 20,000 degrees. Upon impact on the Yucatan Peninsula, the force was equivalent to 100 million megatons of TNT. It struck in a shallow bay, which prevented the ocean from absorbing the energy. The water vaporized, the asteroid instantly disintegrated, and a huge mass of the Earth's crust was blasted into space. Within an 800-kilometer radius, the temperature rose to 300 degrees Celsius. The flash of light was so intense it could burn the shadows of dinosaurs onto the ground, incinerating everything alive. Thousands of kilometers from the epicenter, the Quetzalcoatlus could see a glow from their high-flying vantage point, as if 1,000,000 suns had risen above the horizon. Part 4. The First Waves of Hell. Survivors of the initial impact were at the mercy of new threats. The ground shook from an earthquake measuring 11.1 on the Richter scale, nearly 60 times more powerful than any earthquake humans have experienced. This was followed by a rain of rock fragments the size of buildings, and then a blast wave that obliterated everything in its path. A massive cloud of dust, soot, and superheated glass rose into the upper atmosphere, spreading across the planet. This cloud, charged with static electricity, rained down showers of red-hot rocks on Earth. Widespread fires erupted, creating their own winds and turning valleys into firestorms. In Mongolia, the temperature skyrocketed to 150 degrees Celsius. The only hope was to take shelter in caves or underground. Days later, the coasts were hit by mega tsunamis 100 meters high, triggered by seismic shocks on the ocean floor. They washed away everything in their path, and so an island that had been a refuge for a herd of triceratops was submerged in a matter of seconds. Part 5. The New Era. Even after all these catastrophes, the extinction continued. The planet was enveloped in a thick cloud of dust and soot that blocked out sunlight. A nuclear winter had begun. Plants died, and massive herbivores like the Ankylosaurus could not sustain their huge bodies, leading to their demise. Predators, deprived of their prey, also began to starve. Seismic waves awakened ancient volcanoes around the world, which released toxic gases like hydrogen sulfide into the atmosphere. This gas collected in low-lying areas and watering holes, becoming a deadly trap for those seeking refuge. At a watering hole in Mongolia, the last Corythosaurus was poisoned. Over weeks, months, and years, the dinosaurs that had survived died out. Their populations were too small to recover. The last of them eventually vanished, and with them ended their 160-million-year reign. But not all animals lived on the surface. Small mammals that hid in burrows and underground survived the fiery rain and tsunamis. Fish and aquatic reptiles were protected by the water's depths. These were the creatures that could weather the catastrophe. When the clouds finally began to clear, life was reborn. First in the form of ferns that covered the scorched earth, and then in the form of new forests. It was only when the dinosaurs disappeared that the age of mammals began. They reproduced quickly and adapted, filling the empty niches. Millions of years would pass until one of these species descended from the trees, stood on two legs, developed a larger brain, and began to build civilizations. Our story began only because theirs ended. The death of the dinosaurs was the cradle of humanity.